So early on in the early days, did you kind of start with aggregating demand and then understand that, they had these specific problems and then kind of build out technology for those solutions? Or could you maybe share a little bit more on your approach with that?
Yeah, the canonical chicken and egg marketplace question. So LawLove was, I think we had a natural advantage in this regard because of the nature of our service. So this is another reason why I started this business and not like a food delivery company. Really, we are considered an on-demand marketplace for lawn care. That's kind of like the heuristic that people use. It's whatever the nomenclature of our times. But in reality, we're really more of a subscription scheduled recurring service, right? People don't have a sense of urgency around their lawn services like people do around transportation or food delivery, right? Like you're relatively happy to have your pro show up within the next few days and mow your lawn consistently every week. You do not need it within the next 30 minutes. So that natural dynamic that's kind of unique to our space or a property of this space and others like it, what means that we didn't need some like incredible density of supply in order to get SLAs that were tolerable for the consumer, right? Whereas like you look at a DoorDash has to get to enormous baseline supply in order to hit 30-minute average arrival times. And that's extremely expensive. They ended up having to have, field launch teams in every single city they launch, same for Uber, same for Lyft, right? It ended up being very capital intensive to like jumpstart the supply demand liquidity equation and get that flywheel spinning. Whereas in LawLove's case, we for the reasons that we didn't need an immediate return kind of response time, and second, the way we chose to build the marketplace meant that we only needed a couple pros in a given geo in order to get that up and running. And so what I mean by that is LawLove is a full stack managed marketplace, and translated into human, that means we do not actually show you a series of pros or our vendors that you pick based on ratings or reviews, right? We're not like a verticalized Thumbtack or Yelp. We are a more Uber style solution in that we were operating on the assumption that customers don't actually like choice. Choice is frustrating and just stresses them out. What they actually want is they want to confidently know that they're going to get an amazing quality service at a good price and that they're going to get it reasonably soon, right? And if you could solve for that and you do all the matchmaking behind the scenes with the service provider, this isn't babysitting. They don't have this intimate need to see all the credentials of the supplier and make sure that they match their whatever internal criteria, right? They just need to know that you've vetted them and that they're reasonably good and they're going to do good work. And if you could build that trust and that confidence in advance of a booking, they will book without ever knowing who's going to show up. In the same way that I'll hit like order car without knowing who it is who's in that car, because I just care about transporting from A to B and I have a reasonable confidence that the car is going to be sufficiently clean and I'm going to survive the trip. Right. So like, that's how I think about it. And so we built this managed marketplace, which basically was an opaque matching model. So we didn't need a bunch of liquidity on the supply side just to show that we were credible, right? In a lot of cases like Airbnb, yeah, you don't necessarily have an immediate urgency around booking your next Airbnb, but if they only have 3 or 4 search results for you, you're going to consider it an illiquid marketplace and you're going to churn, right? You're going to go look for something else. So those 2 factors helped enormously in allowing us to jumpstart the model and kind of hack the chicken and egg problem in every single geo. Because obviously a local service marketplace means that you get to replicate the same exercise every time you launch a new city. Your supply liquidity in Dallas does nothing for you if your customer's in Austin, right? So that was the strategy and it worked pretty well. We were also able to launch markets. We figured out fairly quickly that we could launch markets without sending anyone physically to the city. And we did it all remote and invested heavily in kind of standing up geos sight unseen without a physical presence. And that let us launch markets for like $5,000, $6,000, which was crazy, right? Like that's the lunch budget for an average week of an Uber launcher crew, right? So it was very effective.